All right, thank you for joining us again for Wine About the Region with Bill and Teona, where we talk about government and the politics behind it, nonprofit and the people behind it, business and the money behind it. Let's go.
We'd like to thank you for tuning in to hear Bill and Teona, Wine About the Region.
We want it.
You can find us on Facebook. It's a live podcast. You can also find us online at btwinery.com. We'll be doing a podcast every 2 weeks, which it looks like now we're doing one
We've done every week the last 3 weeks.
We have been jumping,
Yeah.
but it's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
But we feature people around St. Louis and Missouri politics, nonprofit, and business.
All right.
So, Bill?
Well, I don't have any
How
special.
was any announcements? Anything going on with you? What's going on with you, Bill?
I don't have. Well,
How you been?
I've been okay. This has been, a difficult couple of weeks. I know. I let everyone know a couple of weeks ago that my aunt passed away. My mother's last living sibling. So it's been a difficult week for myself, my family. And today has been a difficult day for me. August 10th has been a difficult day for a number of years because it's my sister's birthday, and my sister passed away in 2006. So August 10th is always just kind of a difficult day for me in general. So please bear with us, bear with me for sure.
You're doing good though. Let's see what I need to talk about. Nothing really. I'm excited about how the election went. Last week we celebrated.
There was a lot happening this week.
There was a lot happening. So, all right, cool. Let's get down to it.
All right. Well, one of the things that we want to, hopefully get people focused on is how, as a community, we can further strengthen this community. So we have someone here to talk about how we strengthen our community and things that his organization is doing, and hopefully ways that the community at large can participate in doing some of those things. So let's welcome our first guest, Mr. Errol Bush, with Better Family Life.
Come on down. Come on down, Earl. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, you're quite welcome. How y'all this evening?
We good. We good.
Good. Glad
We
to
are
be here.
good. All right, Bill, get the pouring it up.
All right.
Pour it up.
All right. Well, okay. Yeah. Let's get into it. You want the white? We open
Yes.
with the white.
Okay, yeah. We try to let our guests go first so we don't look like we just just like we invited you. He put me on First Street last week talking about like we be hoping the guests don't want no wine so we can just go hard with it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm glad you don't give me too much of that because I don't really do it.
Yeah, really do it.
No. For real, yeah, but I'll wait. So who is first with Earl? I'm first. So Earl, what are you up to these days? Tell us about you and what you're up to and Better Family Life. Tell our viewers.
Yeah, let us know. Act like they don't know anything about Better Family Life.
Oh, well, good evening, everybody. I want to thank Bill and Teona for having me this evening. It's been a busy day today. A lot is going on around St. Louis, and I'm trying to be everywhere and something to everybody. And today, just had a lot of things going on with the city picnic, the city of Northwoods. We had a big event there today that turned out real well. And I was
you're alderman over there.
I'm an alderman in the city of
You used to be the
Northwoods.
mayor.
I was the mayor a few years ago, so that's still my city, and I do a lot to keep it moving forward.
Okay.
We just today I was doing a lot of recruiting for men. That's coming up with our big initiative with Better Family Life. As you know, I've been with Better Family Life. This is my 21st year.
You've been there a long time.
And we started, James Clark and I, we started the community outreach department, and I think you was with us when we opened up on Natural Bridge.
Yeah.
When we had our first office, 6017 Natural Bridge, and everything started from there. Right now, we got another initiative that we're working on, and we were really thankful to St. Louis Board of Education asked us to assist them with the bus stop event.
Yeah, tell me about that, because I actually heard about this. I'm driving, I heard it on the radio, and I heard James Clark, who's he's the outreach director or manager.
Yeah, he's the VP of outreach.
I heard him talking about it a little bit, and I thought it was really interesting. So I think, it sounds like a real good initiative. So explain what that is.
Well, St. Louis, the Board of Education came to us and asked us if we would join in this initiative called St. Louis Stand Up. And it's really an event in the neighborhoods called Neighborhood Net. And Neighborhood Net is it's a program where we would be assisting at bus stops. All men would be assisting at over 200 bus stops here in the St. Louis area, North City and South City. We are going to be at the bus stop starting at 5:30 in the morning and then later on that afternoon. We need men out there to assist the young people going back to school on the 13th. They'll start loading the buses about 5:30 in the morning, and we'll be out there just as monitors with the kids.
Now, are these public transit buses? Or are you talking about
The first student buses, school buses?
Okay.
Yes. And these kids will be going to the different, they still, I think a lot of them are still in the DSEG program, so they'll be going to a lot of the schools, out in the county, and they have to be on the bus stops early in the morning.
Right.
And so we're out there to help the mothers, because a lot of the mothers, they have to go to work in the mornings early.
I wish I was doing it with my kids in school. Like, I'm running out of kids. I got a senior this year. So my time is almost up with the school.
Actually, what I heard when I heard the radio spot that James was on, it was a woman who is a police officer, and you probably
Ms. Dobine.
Yeah, okay.
Officer Dobine.
Yeah, and she said that she would end up, because she had to be at work on the south side.
Absolutely.
She ended up having to leave her child.
Absolutely.
At the bus stop and just pray everything was okay.
Yes. And not only her, but that is quite a few of our mothers here in the city of St. Louis that have to be at work early in the mornings. And they drop them off and they say a prayer, that their kids are going to get on that bus without, some interference from
the elements.
Some elements in our communities. And so we're going to be out there, and I'm really excited about it, because I think I'm going to be in the Walnut Park area. Okay. And so the buses will be out there. Oh, this is my grandson, y'all. This is Kyrie. I'm sorry.
He just came on in and got in where he fit.
And he's been hanging out with Grandpa all day long, and so I always enjoy him when he's around.
You are just good, family oriented.
Love my grandkids.
Yeah.
So we're going to be out there. We need about 200 men. We was shooting for 500. I think we're at the point about 300 right now. So we need to get these other 200 additional men. So this coming Monday, we're going to do another recruitment drive. And I want to thank Mrs. Sweetie Pies. I want to thank Sweetie Pies for allowing us to have our first recruitment events at her location on Monday of last week and Tuesday of last week. A lot of men came out, they got signed up, and they're ready to roll. They're going to get their assignments, and they're going to be out there on those bus stops at 5:30 in the morning, just being a cover for our children. It kind of takes me back a little bit. You kind of remember, like in the Bible, and that's what it's really been on my heart. How when God said, put the blood on the door, and if I see the blood on the door, I'm gonna pass over you, because that's when Moses was trying to get the children out of Israel, and they was trying to kill all the first, the firstborns
I've heard that story.
Yeah.
I've heard that story.
So he said, put that blood on the door, because God was trying to get rid of Pharaoh's folks, because they was hurting the children of Israel.
Right.
And so he said, well, look, if y'all put the blood on the door, when I come to destroy the Pharaoh and his kingdom, if I see the blood there, I'm passing over it. And that's what I kind of feel like right now, that we're going to be a cover, for these young people that's going to be out there early in the morning. Mm-hmm. So we'll be out there covering them.
So how does someone get in touch with you about the program,
absolutely,
time, etc.?
Oh, absolutely. At Better Family Life, 5415 Page Boulevard, and we're going to be doing our recruiting from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on this coming Monday. And they can reach us at 314-381-8200. And that is going to be one of the best things that I think Better Family Life has really put their fingerprints on. Just getting back out there. As you know, Better Family Life, we're striving hard every day to become a household name.
And I tell you, Better Family Life is one of the most reputable organizations, community organizations around this region. Y'all have done a great job for many years.
I think I like what I recently helped with, but I think I like the fact that y'all put people when they get out of incarceration to work. I think that is great. A lot of people don't know you guys do that.
The reentry program.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know you guys do that.
The brothers come to us regularly, and in our community, they're releasing brothers every day that come back into our community, and when they release them with little resources. And but Better Family Life, when we find out who they are, they become a part of our family. And then we put our resources out there to try to help them in any and every way that we can. They done changed the name on the street. They don't call them felons anymore. They call them justice involved individuals.
Okay, I like that.
So
yeah, a little softer. But the employment thing for for those brothers and sisters is great. It's a lot better than what it was in the past. More companies are reducing a lot of their or they're lowering their standards, because what they're finding out, a lot of these brothers coming out of incarceration got a lot of skills.
Right.
A lot of skills that
I even noticed there was like a felony website, like Indeed got a website.
Absolutely. Yes.
I was so surprised by that.
And then there's a list of employers that are, as they call, felony friendly, to help a lot of the young brothers out here that's getting out of incarceration.
Or justice involved.
Justice, yes. And I gotta change my tune. When I found that out, I was like, okay,
I'll try.
But we're doing some great things at Better Family Life, and we just want to continue being an anchor here in the St. Louis area, and everybody that gets an opportunity to knock on our doors, they get served.
All right. So now we're gonna get in why you got all this purple on.
Yeah, we gonna switch gears for a second. We had your daughter, and for those of you that don't know, Corey Bush is this man's daughter. And I would like to know, how you feel about her running against Lacey Clay, not once, but twice.
I'm very proud of my firstborn. I didn't know she had it in her.
That's a compliment to you, though, Dad.
I remember when I was running for mayor, and Corey was about maybe 8 or 9 or somewhere up in there, and I would take her with me when I would go out and knock on doors on Sundays, and she was less intimidating, so I would put Corey. She would knock on the door first, and then when the people opened the door, they would see Corey.
They're not gonna yell at a little
I think the kid thing is like an ongoing little secret weapon there.
Yeah.
Mine getting too big now where I gotta be like, wait a minute, child. You might not want to knock on that door. That old lady looking out the blind. Come on back here, y'all. Come on back.
And they would open the door, and the first thing they would see is this little girl, and they would say, "Oh, hello, honey."
Like she set us up.
Yeah, and then she would point back to me, you know. She's like, and then I would just kind of move on up front and say, "Thank you, babe," you know. And they were like, "Can I help you, sir?" But she had lowered the intimidation level, you know, because I'm standing in the back.
Right.
And they would say, okay, then that would give me an opportunity to, you know, to get my spiel. But I didn't realize Corey was taking all this stuff in while I was out there knocking on doors. I didn't know she had it in her.
She can move
mountains. She definitely got it in her.
And when this Mike Brown thing broke open, that brought it out of her. That literally brought it out.
She ain't playing no games.
And she's been on, you know, she's been on ever since. I'm glad she's running. I feel a little bit more comfortable with it than I did at first. Yeah. I'm actually involved more in this campaign, you know, because I see the change and I see the energy and I see the commitment she has to this community, and I see more of a compassionate there, you know, because, you know, what is going on with the people that she wants to serve, especially when it comes to mental health. She see a lot of these mental health issues that go on in our community. And by her being a registered nurse, she see a lot of things firsthand. And the other thing too is that I'm just glad to see her being involved with a lot of the other new Congress people, especially that just got elected last year. They are raising Cain up there in D.C. and she's a part of that new group of freshmen. You know, she didn't win with them, but she's still a part of that new freshman group that came in.
They seem very supportive.
And they're very supportive. You know, they call her regularly. You know, matter of fact, she's always in and out of town with them. And you know, so you know, they're pushing her, and we got to get out here in St. Louis and continue to get her name out. We was out campaigning this morning. You know, I thoroughly enjoyed it. She got a nice committee, and you know, they push her a lot. They help her do a lot of things, and I just have to thank them. You know, for you know, they see something in Corey that, you know, I'm like, wow, you know, are they seeing something that I'm not seeing? And they are, you know, because they at every event, they're out there knocking on doors and talking to people, setting up events and sending her in and out of town, meeting these people, raising money. And so it's going to be an interesting campaign. The election is next August.
Okay. Do you have a role in the campaign, like a formal role in the campaign?
I just get in where I fit in.
Just like a dad.
Yeah, I don't try to. Right. Yeah, I don't run nothing. You know, I just say, hey, where do y'all need me? Y'all need me to knock on doors? That's what I'll do today. Okay. You know, I need to call some buddies. Mr. Ray, I need some money. If I got to call you, that's what I'll do. Yeah, if I got to call you, say I need some money, that's what I'll do. I go where I'm needed, and I thank God that I got the experience to do so.
Right, and of course you're gonna be with your daughter, but I'm sure that was like, at first to run against Lacey, that was like, okay, because you helped him years ago, correct?
Absolutely. Ooh, did I help?
Well, I'm just saying.
Oh my God, I remember. I remember. Yeah, you know what? Sure. You know, Lacey was running against Charlie Dooley.
Really?
Yes.
What year was that?
Yes.
Was Lacey running against Charlie? Or was Charlie
running against Lacey? Yes, that is.
Yeah. You know, he ran for that first congressional
what
seat.
Year?
Yes.
2002, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, so that probably was before I started really
going. And we had
Lacey's still mad about that.
Right.
Is he?
He's still mad about
that. 2002.
We had John Bowman and I. John was on the board of aldermen, and I think I was the mayor at that time, and we supported Lacey, and we wanted Lacey to win the city of Northwoods, even though Charlie Dooley lived in Northwoods. Naturally, that should have been his turf. But we went out and we won the city of Northwoods for Lacey, and you know,
Wow.
that wasn't too friendly back then. You know,
Made a few enemies.
of course, you can't stay in this business without.
I'm learning
you
it.
know,
I'm
so-
actually learning that
That's the
from
reality.
Bill
of
is
it.
teaching
You
me
can't-
that just
you
do your
can't
thing,
be
Teona.
Thin-skinned in
Yeah.
this business, and you can't expect that everybody's gonna love you. This
Absolutely.
ain't gonna happen,
You know,
especially if you're doing your job right.
You know, I love, you know, being in the political world. It's such a noble profession, because if you could change the life of one, or if you can enhance the quality of life for one, that whole time that you've been elected, you know, it's such a rewarding feeling. And I've been in this business probably over 30 years, and my residents in Northwoods, I love them, and they know they can call me any time of day and knock on my door. Mr. Bush, you got to get my son out of jail. Mr. Bush, my mother died. You know, I want you at the funeral. Mr. Bush, can you do the proclamation? Mr. Bush, the tree fell down in my backyard. You know, and you know, my neighbor's dogs, you know, they barking so much I can't sleep at night. I got to go around there and knock on the door. Miss Johnson, can you quiet your dogs? You know,
And they know you.
Yes, you know, but that's through developing those relationships with those residents out
They'll
there.
listen to you and all that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get some other elected officials on. We want to
thank
thank
you.
you for joining us. Ask you to
you.
move over to the next
Yes,
chair.
We
Now,
got us an extra. We need an extra chair, don't we?
we might have I'll make you on the place. All right, well, we mentioned it earlier. We had a big week in county politics
Yes.
this week.
Yes.
So let's now have someone that can talk to us a little bit about what that means for St. Louis County. So let's welcome 5th District Councilwoman Lisa Clancy. Come on down.
Lisa. When I think of Lisa, do you know Lisa and Coke Jam?
I've heard that before.
I just want to start singing that sound for you.
I need to go look at that.
Yes,
You're not the first
Google.
person that's brought
You
that
need
up.
to
though.
Google that.
White.
Get Lisa together. Let's get Lisa together. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on, Lisa.
Yeah,
You
thanks for
are
inviting
a
me to come on.
powerhouse.
I
You
tried.
just jumped in it. You
Yeah.
did the upset.
Oh my God.
You did the upset.
That was
and
It was.
that was amazing.
It was.
And now you're going full speed ahead. You're going full speed ahead. So let our viewers know what the 5th District, you represent the 5th District on the County Council, right?
I do.
And tell us, what does the 5th District include?
So on county council, there are 7 of us, and so there's 7 districts. We each represent about 150 to 175,000 constituents. So multiply that by 7, you've got about 1 million residents in St. Louis County. We're the most populated county in the state. But District 5 is so inner ring suburbs. So I live in Maplewood with my 3-year-old and my husband. I grew up in Webster. I've got both Maplewood and Webster, Richmond Heights, Clayton. Southern border, northern half of Afton, so the Tower T area, which some people might be familiar with. There was an issue
It's
this
been
year.
the
All the way up to the southern half of University City, and then to the west, most of Ladue and Olivet, a sliver of Kirkwood, and then everything sort of therein up to city limits. So that's
Thank
my
you.
district.
All right, great.
All right. Well, we had elections, of course, for the 1st District and the 2nd District council seats. So now we have Rita Days, who won the 1st District. We have Kelly Dunaway,
Woohoo!
who won in the 2nd District. So
Yeah,
let's get
yeah,
that. Give it up
snaps
for
and
that.
claps.
We didn't already celebrate it on the
Yeah.
show. We had the
I saw the
celebration
hats last
before
week.
the
Right,
yes,
right.
yeah. Well, I should have brought you a crown too. We gotta get you a crown.
Some other
here.
time.
Yeah,
There's always time for that.
So what was your reaction to this election? What
She was screaming.
What were you thinking?
I was thrilled. This is going to mean really great things for the people of St. Louis County, for our whole region. I mean, it's crazy to think about where we were even just under a year ago today. So it was just about a year ago that I won my primary, which was a big change. I'm the youngest person on the council by 20 years. That gap is going to close when Kelly's sworn in.
Wow.
I'm 34. I'm not right out of college.
Yeah.
Well, you had to ruffle some feathers.
I did.
When you won.
I think I did. But people are moving ahead.
Well,
so we're good.
They don't have a choice. You're not going anywhere.
It's true.
And you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
You're bad,
Well,
bad
and so now, a year later, we've got a new county executive, which is great. And then we've got Rita and Kelly. Former Councilwoman Irby's working upstairs with the county executive on some great stuff. And I don't know Rita very well, but we're acquainted, and I'm excited. Her reputation precedes her.
You'll love her.
Yes, I am excited. And I've known Kelly for a few years. We've been friends for a few years, just from various things we've been involved in the community. And so we've got a Democratic majority again on the council. We've got a female majority on the council.
Wow.
It's not the
Great.
first time we've had a female majority. So about 10 years ago or so, Barb Frazier and Kathy Burkett and Colleen Wassinger and Hazel were, but that was
I remember that.
that was not all Democrats. It was I think
3-1.
Yeah, 3-1 I think. So
Okay.
we've got two strong black women, two strong white women.
Yes.
All 4 Democrats, good age span there. It's going to be really good things.
It's definitely going to be interesting, that's for sure. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what's the first couple of things you think you want to work on with the new council?
Well, I think that all of us are going to need, we're going to be working a lot just behind the scenes just to make sure that we're a strong team moving forward.
Yeah.
The council has been pretty unified for a while, mostly because there was a common enemy in our former county executive.
Wow.
So I think people have a lot of questions about what the council is going to look like moving forward in terms of if we're going to be able to continue to work across party lines. I think we'll be able to, because I think all 7 of us still care about good government, and all 7 of us agree that there is a lot of trust that needs to be built in county government. It's at an all-time low. I will be honest with you, I have a hard time using the word restore trust, because I think that there are segments of our community that have never trusted county government.
You're right.
But I do think we all need to work on building county government, building the trust, building integrity and honor again. And when it comes to working with Kelly and Rita and Councilwoman Gray, I am excited to work particularly on some women's issues with them. So one of the first initiatives that County Executive Page announced, I think in early June, I was part of this announcement, we've been working on it a little bit together, was he launched an interdepartmental work group among county employees to study women's equity within county government. And they've been meeting several times a month since they were established, and they're charged with looking at ways that the county can invest in its female workforce in terms of within county government, but I hope in ways that will set a good, strong example for everyone else too. So we're looking at pay equity, which we know also is a racial equity issue. We're looking at things like providing childcare at council meetings so the council can be more accessible to people, and we can get more folks, including our youngest citizens, involved. That kind of stuff. So I'm excited to work on those issues with them, along with a lot of other things.
Okay. Well, let's talk about some of those other issues.
Yeah.
You've, I think, been quoted or had some thoughts on housing issues, related to like Wellston and maybe other areas where there are some housing troubles around St. Louis County. What are your thoughts on dealing with housing troubles in St. Louis County, even Wellston in particular? Yeah,
so I've been kind of rolling up my sleeves when it comes to affordable housing since I've been on the council, mostly behind the scenes, although I've got some legislation and working on some more legislation that I hope will move the needle on affordable housing in St. Louis County. But this all started because over the past couple of years we've had sort of a regional think tank of scholars, advocates, and residents come together and talk about the ways, one, that, why is our region so segregated, but then also in St. Louis County, and I think a lot of these things are intertwined, we have an affordable housing crisis. And St. Louis County has gone a very long time without building the infrastructure necessarily even within county government to try to address that. And by that I mean we are lacking something called an affordable housing trust fund, which would be a fund that could distribute money to help improve the availability of affordable housing throughout St. Louis County. And so I'm working on trying to get something like that established in the county, so stay tuned.
Okay.
But when it comes to Wellston, so I think when County Executive Page got appointed a few months ago, it became very clear he was asked by HUD and the federal government to sign on to a plan to demolish the public housing in Wellston. And thanks to some whistleblowers within county government and some other places, he quickly realized that this was probably about a political agenda coming from the very top of our federal government, including who's in the White House right now, to really decimate public housing. And there are a lot of reasons why we should be hitting the brakes on demolishing these public housing units. And when you think about
some of them, some of them need to come down. And actually, we even had a Farrakhan Shagag on, and he does a lot of work in Wellston.
Yes,
he
I love
said,
him.
you know what, there are some that need to really come
But
down.
it doesn't have
don't need to be,
all or nothing. And the ones that do, we need to make sure there's a good plan in place to relocate people, and that also seemed like something that was missing.
Did you want to
Right, yeah, and one of the things, so I was at one of the meetings in Wellston when they first started talking about some of the properties that they were going to tear down. My whole thing was, where are the people going? What is the plan for the people to go?
That's a good
and then once they go, can they come back? Can we renovate these places that they're in? Can they come back after they've done that? And I remember Better Family Life, we did a program like that downtown in the Cochran. We moved the people out of the Cochran, put them up, and then we redid the apartments and we moved them back in. We were not trying to, and this was with HUD, and we were not trying to displace the people, and that was my whole concern. Because where are they going?
Yeah.
Where are they going?
Right.
Yeah.
You got that right.
So I'm just looking at, Wellston have had his issues, and I really thank God for the opportunity for them to have good leadership that's going on over there right now. You got a new council that's thinking different now. That Wellston can move forward, and but the people that are living there, they need to be able, if they're going to do the if they're going to cancel or knock down them, they need to have a plan for them to go somewhere else. Right. Just don't knock them down and say y'all done.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking they were going to do. Just okay, y'all out. And you talking about all ages of people that live in those, in those public houses there.
Yeah.
And everybody just can't go and stay with my cousin.
He knows his stuff too, so he'd be great.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to go up there, and I got to meet Mayor Nate Griffin. I rode around with him in his Dodge Charger. He gave me a tour along with some other folks from county government. I got to meet some of the residents in the senior homes.
Right.
And talk with them, and we need to be sensitive. Our region has a long history of decimating poor communities, especially poor communities of color.
Yes.
We all need to care about what happens in Wellston, because to me, bigger picture, it's about, is our region learning lessons from the past? And when we continue to disinvest in these communities, it adds to the inequity, and that hits us all in ways that are problematic.
Well, obviously we have, Rita.
I'm encouraged.
A senator that's going to be coming in.
No, I'm encouraged. Especially when absolutely. Rita is with MHDC. Yeah.
So she'll be great.
And then just the idea that you got 4 women there.
Yeah.
I think you would be more compassionate about what's going on in Wellston, and I think even though that might not be your district,
right?
But the thing is,
I don't want to parachute in.
Be an advocate. Work with Rita.
Absolutely. Because I really feel, Wellston is such a mecca. It's such, it's a lot of opportunities and a lot of it's a lot of land in Wellston, and I just think the county really, even though Wellston is incorporated, I understand that,
Right.
but if Wellston, the St. Louis County government has always been trying to do some things in Wellston. They have been trying to do some things,
Okay.
but Wellston is incorporated, but I think it's only so far you can go. But if we're not careful, Washington University gonna be in Wellston, or
Right. Okay, well, let me ask you this, Lisa. The region saw the former county executive get sentenced yesterday.
Yeah,
I hear you attended the sentence. What was that
you
like?
heard right. I was there.
What was that like?
Is Errol black?
I did actually. No, I did, and then today I wore a white dress. It's something else I was at because it's a new day. But no, I did wear. I wore a black dress. It felt like
Wow.
It was somber. I mean, I don't really take. It was packed, and we were told to get there
It was,
early to get a seat. There were not seats
They
saved.
had people who were just there to watch. They had to put them in the jury box too.
They moved
Like
some
some
people over.
people,
There were a couple rows that were filled with school children who just happened to pick a really interesting day to have a field trip. So I hope this made an impression on them. It was.
Are you saying that the courtroom was packed to hear him get sentenced?
Yes. They moved the sentencing to the largest courtroom they had there, which has a capacity of 150 people, and it was packed. There were people standing. They did eventually move some people to the jury box. I was there because I felt like I was there to represent the victims in St. Louis County, or at least my constituents. And it was I think the judge made a good decision in the sentence. She sentenced him to 46 months, a $250,000 fine, which is payable very quickly, immediately, or within 60 days. 3 years of probation after that. I think he has to serve at least 85% of his time, so he's going to be serving the better part of 3 years at least, 4 years. And it's, I think she made the right decision. It sends a really strong message, and a message about, and we've got to protect our democracy.
Yes. Yes, we
and
do.
It's
these
called
kind
good
of
governance.
actions, exactly.
It's called
These
good
kind of actions are
consequences.
yeah, and it's really hard to qualify and quantify exactly the impact of this and all the ways that our former county executive held our region back and neglected our region, and exactly what that looks like. But in some ways, maybe he's getting off a little easy. But
and you worked with him.
I hope he comes out a different person, a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, when I won my election, he reached out, he was friendly. I was cautious though, because I had a lot of concerns about his leadership.
Okay.
And that was part of why I ran for office, because I challenged his only ally on the council.
Right.
He wasn't a very friendly county exec. He wasn't very cordial, especially when he go to events.
Yeah.
If he went to an event, he would stay 5 minutes.
Then leave.
I remember. Now I'm a director of the St. Louis County Municipal League. We invited him to come and speak after he got reelected. We invited him at one of our luncheons. He came, and he brought his daughter with him, and he was giving a speech, and he had his daughter in his arm the whole time that he was speaking. And he knew she wasn't going to sit there and go through all that. He had to leave.
So it was an easy out, you're saying?
Yeah, and he did it twice. He did it
That's
twice.
what we do. Wow.
And then he came to another event we had, and he brought his daughter. And we all knew, so he ain't gonna be here long.
All right. Well, let's move on. I think you kind of answered my next question. So let's go ahead and move along. We want to thank you for joining us.
Thanks for
today.
having me.
Thank you so
Councilwoman?
much.
Yeah.
We'd like for you to hang around because we always
Yeah.
take a picture after
Yeah,
with
great,
our guests.
great.
But we're gonna try to, she's got to do mommy duties and stuff.
I told my kid I'd be home to get him in bed,
but we have you take your wine, and you
Okay.
guys are
Yeah.
gonna rotate.
Yeah,
a little
we'll
bit.
do it.
Hit it, Bill. What's
All
next?
right,
Looks like
now we
someone
want to
else is
invite our next guest, the wonderfully talented
The one,
committeeman
only.
from the mighty
the one, the
Mighty.
only.
5th Ward and candidate
Yes.
for the 78th House District, Mr. Rasheen Aldridge.
Give me a hug, Rasheen.
I need to take y'all everywhere.
What's
with
up,
me. Here
White
comes
or red?
Rasheen. I'll do whichever one open.
Let's open the red. Let's go. Let's do it big.
Let's do fancy.
Let's do it big.
Alright,
Let me
well,
get rid of this.
I go do this and you get on the next thing.
How y'all been?
We good. Thank you for taking. Rasheen, we reached out to you, kind of like, hey, come on, and you was like, all right. So thank you.
I got family back, so
I appreciate you. Well, what are you up to, Rasheen? How do you feel? Your best friend is moving out of town.
Yeah. I mean, I feel good.
And who we talking about?
Who's your best
Ma-
friend?
ma-
Is
make
he your
sure-
best? Look, we
make
just
sure
wrote the
everybody
crap. Is he your? He like what? My best friend live over in.
Is it a guy named Bruce?
I've been good. I mean, I've been busy recently since former state representative Bruce Franks has announced that he's resigning for his own mental health state and just to take care of himself, which I totally respect.
Okay.
Bittersweet about it because, you know, going from, I lived in a district my whole life, and going from having somebody in the district who actually care and actually represent, no shade intended to the previous representatives, but Bruce really brought something different to the district.
Did.
He brought
I agree.
compassion, he brought realness, he brought raw, and it wasn't always delivered in the most sexiest type of way. He was unapologetic, but it came from the heart. So
Yeah.
And he was one of those people that had what was, at the time seen as a huge upset, same as this one sitting next to you.
Yes. And y'all didn't stop.
And
Y'all
he-
went in. Y'all was like
He
those.
was a part of that big upset too.
So when Bruce ran in 16, he lost his initial race. August, I did too, and we both took our race to court because of some absentee issues, and we both got to do election.
I remember because I was here. I was working, and I would go downstairs like, man, the hall is crowded, y'all. It's crowded down there. So I would just go and look and go live, and I was screaming, and so they was scared too. Cause I knew them because I worked with them, so they were like, oh my god, it was emails going.
Oh yeah, it was
throughout
different.
the
We wasn't playing. We tried to get. Growing up in the ward, I already knew how the Hubbers had operated. I knew that it was an absentee, and honestly, it's not just a Hubbard thing. It's really just being blunt and kind of already maybe step into that role being unapologetic. But it's really an African American elected official thing. I feel like a lot of African Americans kind of use that absentee, and maybe not just African Americans, but I've seen a lot of them use that as a little booster before going into election. Some may say good, and I just think the way the previous administration went about it was more forceful and demanding, and like, you need to do this when people didn't know what they was filling out. So we was able to know that already, and
Y'all changed it up a little bit.
Y'all broke that.
Yeah.
Well, you've been making waves in politics in this region since Ferguson, really, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not just in the region, but really across the country, all the way to the White House. So
You met the
Congratulations.
president. You should have brought a little picture so we could have like
he
flashed.
met my president. I don't know who this guy is.
Right.
I think that was all of us.
Yeah.
All our
If I may.
We don't have a president now, everybody. We just kind of
I don't even,
I say 45.
Okay.
Right.
We just
So
a number.
what made you get into this 78th House District race?
So I actually was, I would say a little bit even before Ferguson, I was politically involved. If it was with the Fight for 15 movement, or trying to expand Medicaid, or even I remember when I first really did my first speaking, it was against Todd Aiken out in Clayton when he was running against Senator Claire McCaskill, and that race was, if he didn't make his comment, who knows what we would have had, right? He had his own legitimate rape comment, but seeing what we've accomplished over the last 3 years, not just in the 5th Ward, but in the 78th District, because I do a lot of work just not in my ward. I feel like, the issues that are taking place in the 5th Ward, taking place in the 3rd, and taking place in the 7th, may look different. We may use different words from gentrification to progressive, all this, but we still got, at the end of the day, the same issue. So seeing Bruce step down and recently working with the Democratic Party, seeing the state level and how we are a super minority when it comes to Democratic candidates, but there's a lot of opportunity. I think Bruce did a great job with working across the aisle, and for other sides to understand the reality of what goes on in St. Louis City or St. Louis County isn't what you just see on the news. Let me come over and have these tough conversations of what it means of walking down the street, being a black man or a black woman or a trans woman, and the police stopping you, or living in a community where you see decay after decay after decay of houses, or just not even a park in the neighborhood. So It's unfortunate to see him go, but I think we can be growing off of the legacy he built and the legacy that the people built to make all of this happen.
I
And
love
not
that
just
you
on
brought
the-
up trans. I got
Of
a
course.
trans friend, and yeah, she would be glad to hear.
As a
that you
community
brought that up.
that, you know, we can't forget anybody, you know, the disabled community, the trans community, everybody is part of our
Well, you
neighborhood.
know how I feel about the disabled community.
Well, you know,
I'm
me and
just
you
like, hey.
got like some.
Yeah,
you
a
know,
little bit of a connection.
One-
I actually was gonna put that in here as a question. If you elaborate on that's fine, but you know, hey, it's on you. But I
It's
do
your
want
show.
to
I'm
ask
listening.
you. Well, no, they already know about me. I'm just saying, like how you know when you meet somebody that's got a disability,
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
okay, well, what happened to you? Hey, boom, you know,
I feel
blow
like
it up,
you-
or whatever the kids say, whatever. But okay. Back on script.
Uh-huh.
What does it mean to you to have the support of Bruce Franks? You have his endorsement, correct?
I do. I mean,
And against somebody that y'all both have a good relationship, right?
yes. I
Marty,
mean, you know, they usually say don't say your opponent's name, but honestly, Marty Murray is a really good young guy. Marty Murray is a committee man of the 7th Ward. The way this work is going to come down to the 78th District committee people within that ward.
Okay.
Whoever comes out victorious will be a phenomenal state rep. But I was
Now
able,
you know how important those committee races are. People are always standing down on them committee races, like, oh, well, what do they do?
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing is you got to pay the most to run for those seats. So,
Yeah.
in case
And
you-
y'all got something going on in the 74th. Like, you know, it's important. Core
Yeah,
face
we
stepping
got
down and the
something
committee
going on
people
in the
got us.
74th.
I think
nominate.
all of the committee people in St. Louis, or most of them in St. Louis County, are up for re-election next year too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Something to keep your,
It's going to be a
just something to keep your.
interesting
Yeah.
It's an important place
Actually,
to build the
I'll be
bench.
running. Just to plug myself, you know, I'll be running in.
But
Ferguson.
it means a lot to have Bruce support. I mean, I know that he personally wanted to stay away from it because he's seen that there were really two good candidates. But he felt that between me and Marty, that my work ethic when it goes up to Jeff City would be the one that actually would be the best to get stuff done. Not saying that Marty hasn't done a lot of good work, he has, but it's a different beast up in Jeff City.
But brother, you was there in the trenches with him.
Yeah.
So,
In the trenches when y'all was doing that absentee thing, and y'all was fighting against the established. You know,
So you know how to
so
get it done.
actually, you know, I would understand. I would be concerned if I didn't get his endorsement. You know what I'm
Don't
saying?
worry, it came close.
You know,
I would
so-
have an attitude. Like,
Reach.
I was getting a little nervous, like, oh, we got like 2 weeks, Bruce. I mean,
what's up, man?
Where you at, Bruce?
But you know, I knowing the you know, trying to put the personal and professional sometimes aside. You know, we got is one thing I say. There's a few people in this game that I actually feel like I have a genuine relationship with, and Bruce is one. You know, I can call up and say, hey, I'm not going through this personally, or he can call up. But on a professional, it's a little different. You look at who is the best. Even if, you know, he's out in the streets, can you do the job? And for him, who's been effective, got a standalone bill, to feel like I can do the job means a lot. I got the support of State Rep Lakeisha Bosley, State Rep Tracy McCreary, State Rep Wiley Price, State Senator Jamila Nasheed. So people that have been up there and know what that beast
Baby,
is.
we you,
locking
Rasheen. You
them
locking
down.
them alone,
Locking them
man. You
down.
like, go ahead. Hey, we supposed to like do like that.
Okay.
Yeah, like
But,
that.
and also the Democratic Party know who you are.
Right.
You know,
'Cause
so
you work with them.
you know it shouldn't have been a hard choice. You know, and I know you're not. You know, whoever this other brother is that you're talking about.
You don't even know.
You know, where has he been in the gutters? Where have he been? How many gutters have he fell in?
And you gotta
You
be
know,
in the gutters where he's
those
running.
are
and in
the
78,
trenches
you
and
gotta
the
be in
marks
trenches.
that you gotta have, man. Where are your bruises and stuff, man? You know, that you was out there, you knocking on doors.
Yeah.
You know, how many knuckles did you bust out there?
I think he's trying to get on your campaign.
You know,
Bring them on in.
The
Bring
meeting
'em
is
on
Thursday, but after Thursday, we're gonna need all hands on deck.
yes, sir, brother. I'll be glad to.
Well, we had talked a little bit previously about housing issues in the county. Now, of course, the city has had some of its own housing issues.
Yes, it
I
has.
think most notably and recently is the Clinton Peabody.
Mm-hmm.
I know they had infestation issues, rats, and all kinds of whatever else going on there. What needs to be done to address public housing issues in the city, in the region? You know, should it be something that we look at as a region, or should the city do its thing, the county do its thing? What are your thoughts?
What would you like Lisa to take back with her? Like, let's
Yeah.
talk.
First, on the Peabody thing, shout out to Bruce and the state senator, and even our former U.S. Senator Clement Caskell for really getting to the bottom of the rat infestation that has been taking place in Peabody for a while. I mean, Peabody is a place that needs a lot more attention and do not get it. A lot of folks like to blame the residents, but I think it's a lack of attention from these higher ups. And they put certain folks in the director of housing authority, put certain management in to
That
just
black
do the
man
job.
that's running the
and
HUD.
Ben Carson, he ain't
Yes,
but
I didn't want to say his name. But
They hate him.
they put people in these positions to do the job and don't have that compassion and understanding of, like, you know, this person may be, you know, a little late, or this person that grew up a little different, right? Public housing is a system that was supposed to have been to help people that don't have the most resources, underserved, and to make sure they still have that quality living. And I think that hasn't taken place in Peabody. Moving forward, I mean, I'm gonna make sure as the next state rep that I know they just settled in court for the lousiest amount, to kind of just let this go away, but I think it's still a lot more work that need to be done. But I think one thing that we were been able to do kind of really good on the city and county level without a merger, and however you feel about that, I feel like Better Together was a hostile takeover. I do feel that when it comes to trying to do some regional work in the last couple months, it has kind of been done, and we have talked about this regional collaboration. So understanding that the city and county, I mean, issues are different, but they're very similar. When we come together on the issues, and when we come together and be able to work together genuinely, you know, we can get some stuff done. So I'd like to see more regional collaboration. We got some great members on the county executive board out there. We got a new county exec. I'm hopeful in the new members that just got elected, but we also got some great people at the board of aldermen. If it's Annie Rice, or Dan Gunther, Brandon Bosley, John Muhammad, it can get done. Now the mayor's seat is a little different, but we're working on that too.
So you did your little arm thing. You know, you got this little arm thing. I hate to cut you up, but he got this little arm thing he do on this little bump that when he wants me to kind of speed to me, he'll be like, and I'm like, Bill, I do. Or something like, you gotta be a little bit more smooth, don't you, dude?
But see, it was. I bet
And you the next person up while you bumping me. You up.
I asked my.
And that says, excuse us. Rick.
She right. Well, let me ask you this.
Thank you.
I keep it
Can
short
you
and sweet,
say,
though. I keep it short and
Teona,
sweet.
you are so right. I would love to hear that right. Teona, you are always right.
Anyway, next question. So how can people get in touch with you, and how can they support you?
Right.
Yeah. So I love social media. So if you folks that are on social media, you can follow me on Facebook, Rasheen Aldridge, or add me as a friend, or the Fifth Ward Committee Man page, Rasheen Aldridge for Fifth
I
Ward
think you
Committee
should
Man.
spell that name.
Rasheen Aldridge, Aldridge. Hopefully we'll be changing Rasheen Aldridge, Fifth Ward Committee Man, to Rasheen Aldridge, State Rep of the 78th really soon. Email me, RasheenAMSOC@gmail.com, or just inbox me on Twitter, SheenBean32. Name all the ways.
All right, real quick, I'm gonna put everybody on the spot for just a second. This is
Uh-oh.
something that I didn't give you yet,
Uh-oh.
but it just popped into my head because I know it's been popping up in the media lately. All right, airport privatization. Where are you?
People should have a vote in it.
People should have voted. Airport privatization.
Yeah, people should have a say. Lots of red flags right now.
Okay.
Vote.
Vote. Everybody should have.
Absolutely.
Okay. I was just
Okay,
curious.
all right.
I like that little hot round thing.
Is
Let's
it-
do that more often.
Could I
It's
say
also,
something?
oh yeah, I was going to say something too.
Go
Well,
ahead.
I was about the airport privatization. The city owns the airport,
Right.
so it's
Right.
often framed as a city issue,
Yeah,
but
we-
it's
but we
a
all-
regional
we-
asset.
yeah,
We
it's a
all need to
regional
care about
asset.
it.
That's
So
what I feel about it.
My mom worked
yeah.
at the
Talk
airport
about
30
the airport
years.
without talking
yeah.
about
So,
the
but
city
hats
and
off to
county
the folks in
government.
the city who've been working to expose some of the shady stuff that's happening right now around that.
Not for sale STLs.
Yes,
community
that's
group.
right.
Boom.
Okay.
All right.
One of the things, brother talked about the merger. Okay, now that's not dead. Okay, what is happening now? We still got to get these signatures. We are probably about 2,500 signatures short for St. Louis County to get the Board of Freeholders set up. Okay, the city has already got their 15,000 signatures. So Mayor Cruson she's going to have to set up that board of freeholders, that committee.
Okay.
And it has to be 19 people, city and county. But the thing is, I'm thinking, now here's an opportunity. It was a hostile takeover. Okay, that's done now. That's dead. The thing now is that we have to set up this commission, but that commission is going to give us an opportunity to discuss regional issues. You know, that we can come together, because there's a lot of things we really need to talk about. Right. St. Louis City and St. Louis County, and I'm gonna throw one out there. We got to do a better job with transportation in the city.
Okay.
You know, a
North-South
total
Metrolink.
Yes.
Yeah. Needed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, Metrolink got to expand farther than Shrewsbury. You know, there's employment over in Illinois. I mean, St. Charles. There's employment in Arnold. We really got to work on that. You know, right now, unemployment is really, really high among the African community. It is extremely high.
They got to get up 2 hours early just to I've heard it all.
But that's why I was saying, if we can all get together and just talk about, because the board of freeholders can make things change. Right. We can set things up regionally. And I know, we didn't want to merge with the city, and the city didn't want to merge with the county. But it was some things that we could have done together. Like, we do the museum. We do all that stuff together. But there's some other things that we could work on regionally that this commission could help set up. But the commission, if we don't make a plan, they're going to make their own plan for us.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, let's work on something that's real important right now. We want to work on getting Lisa back home. We gotta
let Lisa tuck the baby in,
yeah.
Because we can go all night.
I can talk all night too. Yes,
we like to thank our viewers for tuning in. We are going to continue to whine about the region because we care.
Because we care, that's right.
If you have any ideas or topics or people you'd like us to interview for the show, or you're interested in advertising or becoming a sponsor, message us on Facebook or email us at btwinery@gmail.com.
All right, and as always, remember, we are the only solution to empower our community.
And you won't see a show for like a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
maybe three.
We won't.
Because we've been going hard. We've been giving y'all back to back to back. So these great people, we want to thank them for coming out.
Thank you so much.
We didn't have any air conditioning. We're kind of hot here. Ain't that bad? Okay, that's cool. But we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Share this on your page. Tell people about us.
All right.
We're out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.